Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy United Beast Wars 2 Universe Core Class Tasmania Kid. Let me know think of this figure in the comment section down below. Is it a pickup or a pass? Now let's take a look at the figure's packaging. So here we have the packaging. Starting at the very front, we have Transformers on the side. We have the Legacy United logo at the bottom of the box with Beast Wars 2 Universe Tasmanian Kit in white text with a white Maximal symbol. We do have an open window displaying the figure when it would be in packaging. And if you do look at the top of the box, we have their Legacy United logo and a really cool image or artwork shot of Tasmanian Kid in his Tasmanian Devil alt mode. And if we do look at the side of the packaging, we have another close-up of the Tasmanian Devil alt mode and core class written in several different languages. And if we do look at the back of the box, the figure transforms in 20 steps. There's a product shot of him as robot and alt mode. As for the final side of the packaging, we do have half of the Legacy United artwork. So if you do get another core class from this Legacy United line, such as Energon Universe and Megatron, you can put both boxes together and complete the artwork. And that is pretty much it for the packaging. So let's now get into the review. So here we have Tasmania Kid in his robot mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very top with the head sculpt. I do like the orange-brown mixture for the entire helmet section, with the very bat-like ears for the sides of the head, with the glossy black for the face, and the bright blue for the eyes. I do like how the chest was somewhat detailed to resemble the inside of the Tasmanian Devil mouth. You can actually see the red is probably supposed to resemble his tongue, and the white is supposed to resemble or kind of show like it's his teeth, which I think is a pretty cool creative detail. I just like the really cool kind of fur armor patches at the shoulder. Somewhat reminds you of the Transformers Kingdom line with all the fur texture detailing they did with those beasts in that line. And I just like, again, more of that kind of orange-brown mixture for the entire form. And if you actually do look at the hand, there's some really creepy details there, like the knuckles and the sharp claws. Looks very ferocious and scary. And there's some more fur texture detailing at the top of the legs, and of course the legs themselves. I think this is just such a crazy creative detail how the feet are actually made up of each half of the Tasmanian Devil head. I think that's so crazy and creepy. And if you actually do look at the bottom, we do have both of the top jaw and lower jaw forming, of course, the front of the foot and the actual heel spur, which I think is just so crazy. Of course, we do have the bright blue for the eye, the black for the nose, and kind of the top of the head with the really nice sculpted in ear there with some more of that fur texture detailing. And the same details repeated with the other foot on the other side. And taking a look at that side profile there, overall not too bad. Of course, as I've said in previous reviews of core classes, I typically do lower my expectations with these figures because they do cost less to buy, and of course Hasbro does not nearly spend as much money on as a core class as much as I would say a commander class or leader class. So of course you really don't have the same expectations on this figure as you would other figures. He does have a bit of a backpack, but of course the kibble and the alt mode pieces have to go somewhere. It's a very small figure. And one thing you can do if you don't like the panels, if you actually do want to use the articulation to its fullest, these are actually on hinges, so you can kind of hinge them back a bit further if you want them out of the way when you're trying to pose the figure, which is really nice. And also the front paws or legs of the Tasmanian Devil also are on hinges, so if you want to have them a bit more spread out or more pushed in, again, entirely up to you. So the figure is slightly customizable, but as for the actual back of the legs, there is a bit of hollowness, but it really doesn't bother me. And the back of the arms are actually pretty well filled in. But that is pretty much it for the details. So now for articulation, I think it's pretty standard for a core class figures. The head can look up and down, tilt side to side, and look left to right on a really stiff ball joint. And if you do want to move those panels out of the way to get some space, the arms can move out and in, forward and back. There is a ball joint at the biceps, so there is a bicep rotation, and elbow bend a little bit past 90. There is also a ball joint at the wrist. There is a wrist rotation, and the hand actually can move forward and back as well, which I think is pretty cool. And moving the arms out of the way. Unfortunately, he doesn't have anything with the waist, but he does have pretty good leg articulation. So the legs can kick forward to a very good degree, and they can kick a little bit back. You do have to keep in mind that backpack, so it does slightly hinder the leg articulation, but it can also kick out to the side. There is some slight rotation at the top of the leg. There is a knee bend to a pretty good degree, and the foot is on a ball joint, so there is some slight tilt change back and forth and down, but that is mostly due to transformation. But let me just quickly straighten up the figure, and then we can cover his one accessory. So pretty good posability. Probably my only complaint is the lack of the waist, but that's mostly due to the backpack. And if you haven't seen the transformation yet, you'll definitely understand why he doesn't have a waist rotation once you've seen the transformation, because really I just don't see how they could fit that joint in with this figure, unless of course if it was a much larger figure like a Voyager or Leader. But as for accessories, probably one of my favorite aspects about this figure, because it actually can function as a sword or a blaster. So I'm going to show the sword first, because this is probably my least favorite way to display the weapon. The blaster is definitely my favorite, but how you can attach or display the sword on the figure is you do want to rotate the hand so the palm is facing open. As you can see, there is a port right there, and there is a post right here, so you pretty much essentially plug the sword into his hand, which I think is pretty crazy. So here is his sword attached. I think it looks a bit goofy. I really don't know a lot about Beast Wars 2. I've never even seen the full series, so I'm assuming most likely at some point in the series he does hold the weapon this way, but I just prefer the look of the blaster. I'll show that off in just a sec, but here is his sword. I think it looks pretty cool. You actually can have it facing either way if you want it more pointing back or forward, completely up to you. I actually probably prefer the other way, the first way, because I'm not a big fan of that huge post sticking forward. It doesn't look very good in my opinion. But the blaster you're going to want to remove there, of course, and you're going to rotate at the bicep all the way around, so the port right here is actually facing up like so. And you can use that massive post that I'm not a big fan of. You can just plug that into place, and there we have his huge blaster or cannon, which I think looks pretty cool. And you can just have the arm, kind of resting down. You can just have the blaster like that, and I think that looks overall pretty cool. And that is it for accessories. Now for a group comparison, here we have Tasmanian Kid compared alongside the other two core classes from Legacy United Wave 1, that being the Energon Universe Megatron and the Infernac Universe Boulder Crash. I think these are three great core classes that are starting off the Legacy United line, and let me know in the comments of the three core classes, which one is your favorite. So now for transformation, what you're going to do is go to the head. You can rotate it all the way around, so now the front of the face is facing away from you and the back of the head is facing towards you. You can then go to the bottom of the foot. You're going to grab the entire heel spur and pretty much collapse it and actually have it compact and sit with the rest of the foot. You can then grab the foot, hinge this entire section down, pretty much pointing towards the floor, and now we have pretty much both halves of the animal head ready to combine. But we're going to do that in just a sec. Then you're going to grab the entire backpack section at the back of the figure. You can untab that. There is a slot right there and a tab right there. You can grab this small panel here, fold this entire section out, and then what you can do is grab the arms. You're going to disconnect them from the entire chest. As you can see, there is a tab there, and there's the slot on the inside of this panel. And this entire section, you might have to kind of move the legs out of the way to accommodate some space, but you're just going to pretty much hinge the entire arm as far back as possible, and you can repeat the exact same step and process with the other side. So just hinge this entire section back as far as possible. Then you can grab the entire leg. As you can see, there's this entire kind of channel or cavity right here, and you're going to swing the leg up and have it fold or kind of slide into that cavity like so. And you can do the same step and process with the other side. So just have it go in that little cavity or space there, and then you can tab both halves of the animal head together. And then you're going to use that same tab and slot connection from before with that backpack. That's just going to tab back into place like so. And then you can go to the back. You're going to grab the entire arm, straighten it out, make sure pretty much the shoulder is pointing up like so. Just have them face down like that. And then you can grab these panels here. There is a tab right there and a slot right there. That's just going to tab into place like so. Same with the other side. Make sure everything's nice and compact and tabbed into place. And then just straighten up the head. And this is supposed to tab into place, but unfortunately on most copies of this figure that I've seen, it never really wants to stay. But there is a slot right there and a tab right there. And it's supposed to form pretty much the entire roof or top section of the Tasmanian devil. But as you can see, there's always a bit of a gap or crevice. And that's really the best I can do with it. Then you're going to grab the front legs and just straighten them out and push them forward. You can then go to the back. This of course used to be the shoulder. There is a tab right there and a slot on the inside of the shoulder that's just going to tab into place. Do the same thing with the other side. Just tab that into place. You can then use that ball joint at the elbow, rotate that around, and then you can, of course, get the hand, use that ball joint again, straighten out the hands, and that'll form the back leg. And you can repeat the same step and process with the other one. So rotate out those ball joints, straighten up the hands, straighten up the elbow. And then, of course, the very last step, as you can see, he does not have a tail, and that's where his accessory comes into place. You're going to use that huge post there, and there is a port, and that is just going to slide right into place. And that is pretty much it for transformation. Let's now take a look at the details. So here we have Tasmania Kid in his Tasmanian Devil alt mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very front with that head. It's like the bright blue for the eyes, with the white for the teeth, and the black for the nose, with the really well detailed sculpted in ears. And if you do look at the top of the head, unfortunately there's this panel here that really doesn't have a tendency to want to stay put or tabbed into place. There's a bit of a gap or crevice there, which that's not only on my copy. I've actually watched several other reviews of this figure, and it seems like every copy has it this way, which is a bit unfortunate. But if you do look all across the entire Tasmanian Devil alt mode, there's some really nice fur texture detailing sculpted in. A very classic iconic trait taken from the Kingdom line that I'm really glad what they did with this core class figure. But taking a look at the front legs or paws, we have some really nice sculpted in knuckles and claw, very ferocious and scary looking. It's like that dark kind of grayish black fur texture detailing sculpted in, and the same details repeated with the other front leg and paw as well. If we do look at the top, I do like that really nice kind of black stripe going from the top of the head to the tail, and I do like that really nice kind of brownish orange mixture for the base color of this mode. And I also do like how the back legs are actually not the exact same sculpt and design and detail as the front ones, because they easily could have been cheap and had all four legs the same, but they actually had to have two different distinct designs, which is pretty cool. But I do like the back legs or the back paws. They're very creepy, tons of sharp nails. The knuckles just looks really ferocious and scary, and the tail doesn't look too bad. This actually was the accessory, so unfortunately there's this huge ugly post. That's probably my least favorite part about this mode. But as for articulation, the mouth can open and close to a very good degree. The front paws or legs can of course kick forward and back to a very good degree, and these actually used to be the robot mode arms, so technically if you wanted to, you actually could untab the shoulder, but according to the instructions in the transformation, you are supposed to leave these locked into place. But if you wanted an extra amount of articulation, you could unlock them or untab them. But as for the back knee, it's on a ball joint, so it can hinge forward and back, and of course rotate all the way around and move side to side. And the bottom foot or paw is also on a ball joint, so it can move up and down and rotate all the way around. So pretty posable Tasmanian Devil. Let's now get down to some alt mode comparisons. So here he is with the other core class from a Legacy United Wave one, that being Boulder Crash. And I think they look pretty cool side by side. And now for another core class comparison, here he is with the Energon Megatron. And now moving up in size or scale, here he is with the Deluxe Class Rescue Bots Chase. I think they look pretty cool side by side. And now for one final comparison, here he is with the Voyager Class Thundertron. And I think they look pretty cool side by side. And that is pretty much it for comparisons and this alt mode. Let's now get down to the final thoughts. Now for my final thoughts on the Transformers Legacy United Core Class Beast Wars 2 Universe Tasmania kit. One exciting thing about this figure is that Tasmania kit is our first core class from the Beast Wars 2 universe, starring in the I like the dark gray and brown color scheme with a nice fur texture detailing taken from the Kingdom line, and the cool faux lower jaw acting as the chest piece with the well sculpted and painted teeth and tongue details. As for accessories, Tasmania kit includes one sword, which can also act as a blaster. Tolerances and articulation are overall pretty standard for a figure this scale. Transformation is surprisingly complex and intricate for a core class. As for the animal alt mode, Tasmania kit transforms into a Tasmanian devil with nice fur texture detailing and well sculpted sharp claws. As for accessory storage, the sword acts as the tail for the alt mode, which is pretty creative. What do you think of this figure? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I will see you next time.